The matter? You're looking a little...
Yeah, I'm feeling very emotional right now.
What's bothering you?
I miss her.
Did you kill Grace Mullane? Jesse Kempson, you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Mullane.
The idea of a dream vacation is peaceful, adventurous, and unforgettable memories that last a lifetime. But for some, these trips turn into nightmares. Romantic getaways become crime scenes, and moments meant for joy end in terror. From Joseph Ferlazzo's romantic honeymoons to Malik Webb's horrifying attack on a festive holiday, these vacations took a deadly turn, leaving behind stories of betrayal. Let's begin.
And he puts them in a plastic grocery bag, and he eventually throws those things away somewhere at a gas station.
Joseph and Emily Ferlazzo had been married for a year when they traveled to Vermont in their camper. This dreamlike destination should have been a celebration of their first anniversary, a peaceful escape with winding rivers, quiet campgrounds, and a starlit sky perfect for rekindling love. But what was meant to be a romantic getaway soon turned into a horrific crime. On October 15, 2021, shortly after arriving, Joseph and Emily got into a heated argument. According to Joseph, Emily became upset and made a threatening gesture. In a moment of fear and poor judgment, Joseph reacted by using his firearm, resulting in a tragic incident. What happened next was even more disturbing. Instead of reporting the incident, Joseph spent days covering up the crime. When friends and family asked about Emily, he lied. When authorities began searching for her, he kept up the deception. 4 days after Emily was last seen, a Vermont state trooper spotted Joseph at a convenience store in St. Albans. He was taken into custody, and during questioning, he made a chilling confession. He had killed Emily. Police searched the couple's camper and made a horrifying discovery. Emily's dismembered remains were hidden inside. The case quickly turned from a missing persons search into a complete crime investigation. During the trial, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Joseph had not only killed Emily, but had taken deliberate steps to conceal the crime. His defense claimed he acted in self-defense, but the jury didn't believe him.
Something in my mind told me that it wasn't going to stop until it stopped.
In a recorded confession, Joseph never mentioned that Emily had threatened him. It wasn't until much later that he suddenly claimed self-defense, saying his memory had returned in flashbacks. The prosecution believed the argument that led to Emily's killing was not about self-defense, but something deeper. Joseph's changing stories and his actions after the murder suggested guilt, not fearing for his life. After a week-long trial and 5 hours of jury deliberation, Joseph Ferlazzo was found guilty of first-degree murder. He now faces a minimum of 35 years in prison with the possibility of life without parole. However, tears shed from his eyes as the verdict was read.
Boom, boom, boom. And it was like 2 shots and then her body like dropping.
Emily was just 22 years old, a young nurse with her whole life ahead of her. Her loved ones expected to celebrate her anniversary, not mourn her death. Instead of taking responsibility, Joseph lied, stalled, and tried to escape justice. But in the end, the truth caught up with him. Emily's family may never get her back, but they can take comfort in knowing that her killer will spend decades behind bars. Our next case is more terrifying, where an innocent girl loses her life for the sake of a backpacking tour.
Did you kill Grace Mullane? Jesse Kempson, you're under arrest for the murder of Grace Mullane.
Grace Mullane was a bright, ambitious young woman from Wickford, Essex, whose passion for adventure was as boundless as her dreams. Freshly graduated with a degree in advertising and marketing, she set off on a journey of a lifetime, a solo backpacking tour worldwide. For 6 unforgettable weeks, she wandered through the vibrant landscapes of South America, capturing memories and experiences that would shape her forever. Then on November 30th, 2018, she arrived in Auckland, New Zealand, unaware that the city, brimming with promise, would be the final stop on her grand adventure. On the night of December 1st, 2018, Grace was last seen alive. CCTV footage captured her walking through Auckland's busy streets before entering the City Life Hotel with 26-year-old Jesse Kempson. Her parents sent her birthday wishes the next day, but Grace never responded. Days later, her family reported her missing, and the search for her began. At first, there was no sign of foul play, but as days passed, the police began uncovering disturbing details. Grace never returned to her hotel room, and investigators found evidence that she had likely died inside the City Life Hotel. This turned the case from a missing persons investigation into a homicide. On December 8, 2018, Jesse Kempson was arrested and charged with Grace's murder.
CCTV footage from the following morning showed Kempson buying a suitcase and cleaning products, hiring a carpet cleaning machine, picking up a rental car, and driving out to West Auckland to buy a shovel.
Grace's body was discovered on December 9th, hidden in a wooded area off Scenic Drive. A post-mortem examination confirmed that she had been strangled to death. Security footage, forensic evidence, and witness testimonies painted a disturbing picture. On the night of December 1st, Kempson had taken Grace to his hotel room, but returned alone. The next day, instead of calling for help, he calmly disposed of her body. Investigators also found that after Grace's death, Kempson searched online for ways to dispose of a body. The case went to trial in November 2019. During the 3-week trial, prosecutors revealed horrifying details about the crime. They argued that Kempson had deliberately strangled Grace to death and then lied to cover it up. The defense, however, argued that Grace's passing was an unfortunate accident. They claimed she had a taste for thrill and excitement in her romantic life, and that Kempson panicked when things did not go as expected. However, the jury did not find the defense's explanation convincing. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous guilty verdict on November 22, 2019. The court sentenced Jesse Kempson to life in prison, with a minimum of 17 years before parole. However, he showed no remorse for his act.
Do you find the defendant, Jesse Shane Kempson, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
In February, Jesse Kempson was jailed for life with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years.
While Kempson never admitted to his true motives, his past actions told a darker story. Investigations revealed that he had a history of conflict against women. Following his murder conviction, he was also found guilty of multiple mistreatment and assault charges in separate cases. These crimes proved that Grace was not his only victim. On December 18, 2020, Kempson's appeal against his conviction was dismissed. His name, which had been suppressed by New Zealand courts, was finally made public. Justice had been served, but it could never bring Grace back. Grace Mullane's murder was a heartbreaking tragedy that shocked the world. She was a young woman full of dreams, taken away most brutally. Her family, who had celebrated her birthday just days before, was left devastated. Our next case reveals how betrayal, selfishness, and lies led a man down a path of no return.
Just very happy with the results today, especially for the family. They can get some closure on the matter and try to move on with their life.
The night was calm in the Royal National Park, with only the crackling of the campfire breaking the silence. Janet Campbell sat near the tent, enjoying the cool breeze, unaware that her husband, Des Campbell, had something far more sinister planned. Des Campbell had once sworn to serve and protect as a police officer. But behind his badge, he was living a double life, one filled with lies, corruption, and deception. By the time he met Janet Campbell, a well-off widow, his past was already tainted with disciplinary issues, fraud accusations, and a series of broken hearts, but no one, not even Janet's family, could predict how far his greed would go. Janet was a kind and trusting woman who had lost her first husband. When she met Des, he swept her off her feet with charm and affection. She had no idea that behind the romance, he was hiding affairs with multiple women and saw her as nothing more than a source of money. Despite her family's warnings, Janet was deeply in love. Just 6 months after their secret wedding, the couple went on a camping trip to the Royal National Park, but Janet never knew that it would be her final trip. One night, Des claimed Janet had left the tent in the dark and never returned. The next morning, authorities discovered her lifeless body at the bottom of a 50-meter cliff. While Des insisted it was a tragic accident, something about his story didn't add up. He showed little emotion over Janet's death and didn't seem interested in helping with the investigation. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered shocking details about his past. Des had left the Victoria Police Force under a cloud of misconduct, was accused of fraud, and had confessed to a life of corruption. Even more damning, he had been leading a secret life, juggling multiple affairs while spending Janet's money. The final piece of the puzzle came from Janet's own family. They revealed that on the very morning Janet left for the trip, her mother had chillingly predicted, "Something's going to happen. He'll push her off a cliff." As she stood up to stretch, Des watched her closely. He had led her to this remote spot for a reason. Under the guise of a romantic getaway, he had carefully chosen their campsite, right next to a towering 50-meter cliff. Under the cover of darkness, he lured her closer to the edge. He waited for the right moment, and then, without hesitation, he pushed. Janet's scream echoed through the trees, swallowed by the night as she tumbled down the jagged rocks below. In an instant, she was gone. Des stood there. His plan had worked. By morning, he would play the role of a devastated husband. After 5 long years, Des Campbell was finally put on trial for Janet's murder. The prosecution painted a clear picture. He had never loved Janet. He had only married her for her wealth, and when she was no longer useful to him, he got rid of her in the most ruthless way possible. His former partners and ex-fiancée testified, revealing his long history of dishonesty.
Des Campbell since 2005 has now reached a conclusion.
One woman even became emotional as she recalled how he had abruptly ended their relationship through a text message after borrowing a significant amount of money from her. Despite his defense team's efforts to argue that Janet's death was accidental, the jury didn't buy it. After weeks of deliberation, they found him guilty of murder. With the jury's decision, justice was finally served. Janet's family, who had long suspected foul play, could now find some closure. Des Campbell, once a police officer, was now a convicted murderer facing a 33-year prison sentence, with a non-parole period of 24 years. Janet Campbell was a woman who only wanted love, and she paid the ultimate price for trusting the wrong person. Her story is a tragic reminder that sometimes, the people we trust the most are the ones who betray us in the worst ways. Now, instead of enjoying the wealth he sought, Des will spend the rest of his life behind bars, paying for the crime he thought he could get away with.
Madly in love, and it was definitely intense and fast. He was very verbally manipulative and threatening and jealous.
It was supposed to be a dream honeymoon, a romantic getaway to a tropical paradise for 36-year-old Christy Chen. As the sun set over the golden shores, she believed it was the start of forever. What began as a celebration of love ended in a heartfelt tragedy. Christy, a pharmacist from Tennessee, had recently married 40-year-old Bradley Dawson. The couple decided to celebrate their union in Fiji, staying at an exclusive island resort. But behind the picture-perfect setting, something was terribly wrong. Resort staff had noticed tension between the newlyweds. On that fateful night, witnesses recalled hearing a heated argument. Hours later, Christy was found unresponsive in their villa, having suffered severe injuries. The impact was so significant that preparations for her return home became extremely challenging. As authorities launched their investigation, Dawson was nowhere to be found. He had fled the scene, escaping by kayak to a nearby island. When police finally tracked him down 36 hours later, he had his passport and other belongings, suggesting he planned to disappear. His actions after the crime were described as appalling by the judge. Instead of seeking help for his wife, he left her alone, helpless, and gravely injured.
Appearing before a judge accused of killing her on their honeymoon.
Dawson was arrested and faced serious charges. During his trial, prosecutors argued that his actions towards Christy were intentional and caused great harm. The court found that he either intended to kill her or was recklessly indifferent to whether she lived or died. After an 8-day trial, the verdict was clear. The judge sentenced Dawson to life in prison. However, he will be eligible for parole after serving 18 years. While the exact motive remains unclear, the prosecution pointed to the couple's intense argument before the attack. Some speculate that underlying tensions, which could be financial issues or personal conflicts, escalated to fatal outcomes. Justice was served for Christy Chen, but no sentence could undo the heartbreak her family endured. Her parents were devastated and forced to cremate her remains as a result of the injuries she suffered. Dawson's attempt to escape failed, and now he will spend years behind bars.
Mr. Dawson's going to be in Fiji for a long time before this case is resolved one way or the other.
This case serves as a heartbreaking reminder of how household chaos can escalate to unimaginable tragedy. Let us remember Christy, not for the way her life ended, but for the bright and compassionate person she was. And may justice bring some measure of peace to those who loved her. The tragic deaths of these individuals during vacations shocked the world, and their killers' reactions in the courtroom only added to the horror.